Hi, my name is Harry Schlegel, and I welcome you to this Candidates Forum for Monroeville and Pitcairn School District. I am the mayor of Plum Borough, and I will serve as the moderator this evening, and Ms. Karen Toff is going to be the timekeeper. Today's event is live streamed by the Monroeville TV department and can be viewed on Verizon Channel 45 or Comcast Channel 15. A playback of this event will be available for public viewing until 8 p.m. on Election Day, November 2nd, 2021. Please be mindful of the noise level, and I want to remind everyone, please silence your phones. At this time, I ask everyone, if able, to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you. And welcome, school board candidates. 6 candidates have accepted the challenge for the 4 open positions on the Gateway School Board. All 6 candidates received invitations to participate in this candidate forum. The purpose of this forum is to provide the public with an opportunity to meet and understand each candidate's position and values. School directors, although locally elected, are really state officials and co-partners with the legislature as defined by state law and the school code. School directors are designated by school law to administer the school system in each district. Each school board in Pennsylvania consists of 9 members who serve 4-year terms of office without pay. In other words, these are volunteer positions. This evening, we thank the 4 school board candidates in attendance who were running in the November 2nd municipal election. Joining us today via Zoom is Gary DiLorenzo. Gary is Professor Emeritus with 15 years as an educator at California University of Pennsylvania, Chair of the Computer Information Systems Program and Business Department. He has a 30-year career in industry as Information Systems Development Manager for PPG Industries and Computer Systems Auditor for Westinghouse Electric. He spent 10 years on the Monroeville Municipal Authority with 4 years as chairman. He's past president of the Park Swim Club in University Park, co-founder of the St. Bernadette's 250 Club that's raised over $100,000 for the school. Gary is a resident of Monroeville since 1987, along with his wife Patrice and his children Lisa and John Michael, both of whom are graduates of Gateway High School. Next we have James LeMayo, attorney, 35 years experience. He is an author, and his book was accepted into the Smithsonian Archive, the Italian section. He's the assistant editor of the Penn Bar newsletter. He was mayor in Monroeville from 2002 to 2008. Assistant district attorney, 1988 to 1991. He has published works in the legal newsletters. He's been on the Planning Commission from 1996 through 2002, and the father of 3 Gateway grads. Gary pledges to enhance the reading and critical thinking of all the students by 10% or more. And he's fortunate to be on both the Democratic and Republican ballots on November 2nd, and he's asking for your vote and assistance to step Gateway on the way to success. Our next candidate is Mandal Singh. He's had teaching and research for over 40 years. He's a PhD in biology from the University of California, Santa Cruz. He's been on the faculty at the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine from 2008 through 2014. He's authored over 25 original publications in peer-reviewed scientific journals. He's a member of the Monroeville Public Library Board from 2016 to the present, Monroeville Poets, and as far as the family goes, he's married to Madhu with 2 children and 2 grandchildren. His goals: Gateway School should address the issues of the achievement goals with our students and those compared to the schools in our area. He has a background in science that may be helpful in liberal arts and STEM education. He is an immigrant of color and on the board should be useful in communicating with our diverse population in Monroeville. And our 4th candidate is Scott Williams. Scott decided to run for election to make sure the taxpayers of Monroeville and Pitcairn know their tax dollars are properly spent, and to provide the children of Monroeville and Pitcairn the best education possible. To be elected to the school board, the only requirements are that you be 18 years of age and have lived within the boundaries of the district for at least 1 year. And the budget for Gateway School District is larger than the Monroeville and Pitcairn budgets combined. And he wants to make sure that your money is spent the way you want it. He feels that the biggest issues that need to be addressed at Gateway is to get the kids back in school 5 days a week and to provide them with the necessary tools and staffing to bring them up to speed from the pandemic. He'll utilize the stimulus money from the federal and state governments to hire teachers and other staff members to help over the next year or 2 or 3. That is what the stimulus money is for. Scott is a Gateway graduate. He has a BA from Edinburgh University in criminal justice. He's a former Pony League coach and past president of the Pitcairn Baseball Softball Association and is currently serving on the Gateway School Board. Ladies and gentlemen, those are our candidates. Unfortunately, 2 of the school board candidates are absent this evening. Miss Leslie McBride and Miss Robin Mungo declined invitations. Now let me review the rules. As the moderator, I will each ask candidate the same question. We will rotate who answers first, and we will start by going alphabetically. The timekeeper will flash. You'll have 90 seconds to respond to the same question. Our timekeeper will flash a yellow sign when there are 15 seconds remaining. A bell will ring when the time is up at 90 seconds, and that means stop talking now. We ask the candidates to be respectful, refrain from comments during this forum, and to be mindful of the limited amount of time allotted. Our desire is to ask as many questions as possible. The forum will conclude with each candidate having 1 minute for a closing statement. The candidates nor I have seen the questions. We will start with Mr. DiLorenzo. A school board's authority is applied through the collective decisions of the entire board by acting as a government body. How would you, as a school board director, obtain data and information that is adequate and accurate to ensure an overall good decision-making process?
I think the question ties into assessment, but before I make my statement, I just would like to give my thanks to everyone who coordinated the logistics for me to attend via Zoom, and to Scotty Mandel and Jim and to everyone that I just wish I was there physically, but I appreciate the Zoom connection.
Sir, would you please answer the question, please?
So my question is related to the data and assessment activity. I do have a background as an academic researcher. When I received my doctorate, I understood on how both quantitative and qualitative data ties into outcome assessment. I would work with this board currently with their current processes, and I believe they do have some processes in place today, especially through Dr. Shaky and the Equity Committee, that they basically have outcome assessments for their students. That is the baseline for looking at student improvement. One of the areas that I would look into with my academic background and my research background is to look at the hard empirical data and that qualitative subjective data to get an understanding on what are the
15
baseline
seconds.
issues that we can help our students to have continued improvement. I also would like to be in a position of professionalism with this board. I would like to be in a position based on my background to bring civility and decorum with this board so that we work in unison to have value added in a civil, professional way, that we find solutions for our students through outcome assessment results driven through administration, parents,
Thank you,
teachers,
Mr.
and fellow board
DiLorenzo.
members.
Thank you. Same question for you, Attorney LeMayo.
Thank you, Mayor Schlegel.
You need me to repeat the
Well,
question?
thank you, Mayor, for hosting our event. Thank you for TV 15 for spending the time this evening with us. And thank you for the other candidates for participating. I believe the question was, how would I find information and convey that to the board? As an attorney, you're trained to research and look at issues and independently and try to make decisions independently. Also, it's smart to contact people who have encountered this situation before. So for example, when I was mayor of Monroeville, if we had an issue at the municipality, I've called the mayor of York, mayor of Allentown, mayor of Erie, and asked them how they would handle that situation or if they had that similar situation. They have no political incentive to take sides in a local government like Monroeville or Gateway School District. So I would use those resources and contact other districts, other members in other districts to see how they worked on these issues. Plus, of course, talking to the superintendent and administration in Gateway.
15 seconds.
So I would, of course, as I said, I would talk to the superintendent and administrators, school teachers and principals in Gateway too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Dr. Singh?
yes, thank you, Mayor. I have a scientific background, and so we look at the available data, and it has been ingrained in me, look at the available information and consult the relevant authorities to come to a conclusion. So I will apply the same skills here, and plus the background, I will prepare myself for the situation and reading background, and as well as looking at the current information in the media, and come to a conclusion and help the board to reach a decision on the matter. And that is probably the most collective way to reach to a conclusion. At the same time, of course, be concerned with the wills of the people and the community inputs we will be taking. Thank you.
Mr. Williams?
Not to be redundant, but I too would like to thank everybody for setting this up tonight, and also thank my colleagues for showing up for this forum. being on the school board, currently we already have access to a lot of data there from the administration. And also I'm on a Forbes VOTEC board and deal with 8 other school board members from different school districts there. And if there are situations that arise, we tend to pick each other's brains and see what they do at their school district, and I let them know what we're doing at ours. And it is good to have a school board that one can work with and be open with, that, we don't all have to agree on everything all the time, but we still need to respect each other at the same time. So I think with the tools we have in place currently, I think we do a very good job.
Mr. LeMayo,
Yes.
the second question goes to you to start with. The question is, a recent complaint by the parent of a 6th grade Gateway student cited objectionable curriculum concerns. What is your position about parental rights in relation to social issues within the school, such as teaching objectionable curriculum, health clinics, and the promotion of alternate lifestyles?
Well, I think, Gateway's confronting this issue just like every other district in the nation is confronting this issue. And it's my hope that eventually we take the politics out of this school district and just focus on basic education. And the old saying, reading, writing, and arithmetic, math. I think if we can get to that level and not worry about the national issues, that would help the children. As to parents' rights, of course, the parents are the ultimate decision maker for their children. So if a parent feels uncomfortable, we want to hear about it. We want them to feel comfortable, and they should have the right to opt out if they object to a policy at Gateway. But again, I just want to send the message that we need to just focus on educating our children. And as they grow up and get older, they can make their own political decisions on how they feel they should vote and think about things. But they need to be able to have life skills for reading, thank you, and writing, and those critical thinking skills. Thank you.
Thank you. Mendal Singh?
Yeah, so I think we should critically examine the issue raised by the parent. And if it has a basis in a wider sense, then he or she has a right to make her decision and made it known. But many times there is a hearsay issue, and it doesn't correspond to exactly the matter involved. And for example, at the school situation last year, I attended one board meeting. I went in August, and there was a lot of rowdiness in the public time, and not addressing the facts. It comes down to that the issues which were not taught at the school were raised at that point. So it's kind of unfortunate that that kind of atmosphere takes over. We should go fact-based and address the issues exactly as they are. And of course, the alternate lifestyle is an issue, but we should respect the minority rights. Minority as a woman, minority as a sex preferences, and minority as a color. So we should be respectable for other people's interest.
Thank you. Mr. Williams?
Well, first off, we represent the public and the constituents, and when there is a concern, the public is more than welcome to come to the school board and voice their concern. And sometimes there is misinformation out there, and it's best for them to address us and let us know what they hear out there. Basically, we we follow the laws that are sent down to us because we accept federal money and state money, so we have to abide by certain rules and procedures. But sometimes there is miscommunication, and the public is more than welcome to come and look at the curriculum at any time, even when we have new curriculum that comes out. And if there is a concern, they're more than welcome to come and voice their concern and get an answer for what they're concerned about.
Thank you. And Mr. DiLorenzo.
Yes, this is Dr. DiLorenzo. I'm going to address this with a two-part response. My first response is that should I become a school board director, I would look into the Pennsylvania academic standards to confirm what the students were learning through a robust curriculum. And that would be based on standards that are driven through student merit and achievement. Those standards would be based on a variety of topical content areas, such as STEM, the social studies, cultural arts, civics, primarily to prepare the students for the next phase of their life, whether that's higher education, a trade school, working in the workforce. You prepare them accordingly with a rigor of curriculum based on Pennsylvania academic standards. And my second point on how I would address this would be through, as an example, possibly the curriculum committee. The curriculum committee, we have an opportunity as a board to have more community involvement with our board committees. My bias is we are facilitators for the interests of the community and stakeholders, such as parents and those children that have that are in the school district with teachers and administrators, that we could have on our, as an example, curriculum committee, basically getting input from all the various stakeholders that confirm that the curriculum standards meet the expectations of the community. And then that can then be presented to the board in collaborative way so that we can all pursue it accordingly.
Thank you. The third question, and we'll start with Dr. Singh. Effective school boards concentrate their time and energy on determining what the school should accomplish and then enact policies to carry out those goals. Service as a Gateway school director is a voluntary position, yet seems important to you. Why and how would Gateway students benefit from your qualification and strengths to help them achieve educational excellence?
I come to the board as a candidate from the point of view that it kind of concerns me that we are not the best school in our region and our county. And the previous generation of students, our previous 10 years back, is kids whose parents I'm friends, and they have, kids have gone on to MIT and many medical schools and so forth, and they were as competitive as anybody else in the county, any other school. And we are not, it doesn't seem to me we are in that position. I know more kids going to MIT from North Allegheny. And so we should strive forget about the issues, differences and so forth. But main issue is we should improve our education, and fill up our achievement gaps within the school, different communities, as well as from the outside other schools. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Williams.
First and foremost, my main goal beyond the school board is to be there for the children in Monroeville and Pitcairn, to make sure that I have no agenda to get people hired or get people fired because I don't like the football coach or the cheerleading coach. I want to make sure that all the children get the best education, that they can by hiring the best qualified individuals for their teachers, administrators. Since I've been on the school board, I've gone through 5 or 6 superintendents. And over that time, things have changed that hurt the kids. The only consistent thing we had was the teachers. And over the last 5 or 6 years, we've made it a point to try to get some consistency in the administration. And hopefully we can maintain that consistency so everybody knows their roles. Everything runs like a well-oiled machine. And I've said this before, that the kids get along great up Gateway. We have a very diverse group of children. Sure, they might be a fight every now and then, but it seems like the adults are the one that screws things up. And as long as we get the right people on the school board, they're there for the right reasons, I think that the school board can get back to doing school board duties.
Thank you. Dr. De Lorenzo.
I would like to follow up with the comment with Mr. Williams just said, just to reinforce that I believe we as school board directors would be facilitators of basically the community and the stakeholders of the community to do what's best for our kids. And that's for all the students. So that I would take a role as a director, basically looking at opportunities that would have value across the board for all our students. How could I possibly provide that? Just to give people who do not know my background, not only my personal background or my professional background, I guess my personal background, but I come from a family of educators. My wife was a special education teacher for over 37 years. There were many nights I was with her while she was writing IEPs for students to help their continued learning. I also have a daughter who's a high school English teacher. I am surrounded by women who are educators. So my point is that I come from a family of educators. I'm a big believer of helping the next generation of students. I would like to think my background as an educator, an administrator, and public servant would help that next generation. And I would look for an opportunity as a school
15
board
seconds.
director with your vote to do that.
Thank you. Attorney LeMayo.
Thank you. Well, one of the main reasons I decided to run for school board was to provide professionalism to the board and to help the community move forward in a positive way, in a positive fashion. I believe over my 35 years in Monroeville as an attorney and as mayor and other community involvements, I've shown that I can get competing people together to come up with a solution, reasonable solution to today's problems. We're not always going to agree on everything, but we don't have to agree on everything. We just have to come to a reasonable solution. And usually, somewhere in the middle is probably the correct solution, even though you may have a position on one issue. As to how to help the children, not everyone in Gateway that graduates from Gateway is going to go to college, or they're not going to go to college right away, as we call a straight arrow. So we have to teach these children, these kids, basic, fundamental thinking, reading, math, so they can get jobs that may not be they could get jobs where you don't need a college education. There's a ton of jobs, my law practice being one of them. I mean, and they're good jobs. So if we can focus on the basics and not worry about children going to college, I think it would be better. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. This question will start with Mr. Williams. What is your position on parent and taxpayer teams reviewing and critiquing Gateway School District's curriculum, textbooks, library books, online learning, and other academic programs before the board approves the purchase?
I invite the public to come and put in any input that they want to, and encourage that. We constantly put new curriculum books out for display at the school and also at the library for the public to come and view them. And we also have committee meetings that the public is more than welcome to come and give their input. I actually wish that more people would come and view the curriculum. It seems that most of the time the people show up whenever there's a hot topic. And I encourage them to be more involved. And I also let people know that Gateway is a great school district still. You know, we pump out the kids and more people move here because of our diversity. But we still need a lot more input from the community to get a feel of what they think of our curriculum.
Thank you. Dr. DiLorenzo.
Yeah, I would concur with that. And I think I answered this question a little bit earlier through collaboration through a curriculum committee. I think we can really have some real opportunities here with true collaboration, where you have individuals from the stakeholders in the community, parents, teachers, administrators, a variety of individuals, that I would welcome their input, not only on textbooks and content, but I believe that collaboration should also include the direction of the curriculum, not only the books and the content, but basically what is our direction as a school district to reinforce the skill sets needed for our students for the next phase of their life. And we talked about this earlier. Those programs could be, no matter what their next phase of their life is, STEM-oriented programs, math and sciences, social studies, cultural arts, a variety of areas that could be not only the actual books, teaching pedagogy, and a variety of things for the teachers, but also the course content for the next generation so that they're all prepared for their
15
next.
seconds.
Thank you.
Attorney LeMayo.
Thank you. I think it's very important for the parents to be involved in all aspects of their child or grandchild's education. It's hard for children today to succeed without a lot of stress and a lot of emotions. We don't have to repeat about the studies about Instagram and Facebook and all those social pressures, especially for young females. And I'm biased to that because I have 3 daughters. They've graduated from Gateway. But so I think the parents being involved in all aspects of their education, that's from books, talking to the teacher, going to their sporting events. The problem is that most families have a working parent, 2 working parents, and it's difficult to get to all these events or to actively participate. So that's why they trust us on the board, and they trust their teachers and their principals to do the right thing. So I always keep that in mind. I think of my girls as they were going through school, and as a parent, I got emotional about things too, and I understand that because you should be emotional as a parent. So I think we need to develop a trust with the community, and with parental involvement, I think we'll have success. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Singh.
I think Mr. Williams outlined very well that there are plenty of opportunities and often not very well used to the maximum potential for the parents' input. Parents' input is very important, but a curriculum, a textbook, it's a task to evaluate a book, a reading from beginning to the end. So it's the professionals who have given their input to recommend that book. And if there are instances of errors, one should point out, and there are opportunities, and it's very welcome, indeed a social service to put down all that information. There can be slippage, but as a whole, the process, it takes many steps before a book is recommended and suggested to be put on the curriculum. and information. So I think the input is important, but at the same time, we should also trust the system. And lot has gone in to recommend a curriculum, a textbook for the process. Thank you.
Thank you. Our fifth question. What is your position, currently, critical race theory and the hiring of an equity director are controversial issues in the Gateway School District. Do you think the Gateway School Board should focus on an equity or an equality policy, and explain how your position benefits the individual needs of the student? And we'll start with Dr. DiLorenzo.
Well, those of us who have been involved in school board meetings over the last year, and especially the last 3-4 months, know that this is probably the number one item on the agenda of just about every school board activity. From my perspective, there's a couple issues going on here. Let me frame this with a one viewpoint that I believe that every student should and does have an opportunity for student success. We have not only legal laws passed at a government level, but within the Gateway School District, we do have an environment for all students to have an opportunity to succeed. There is an equality opportunity for everyone. Now, if we want to get into a discussion on equity and critical race theory, I would move the slant more in the discussion on what are we trying to accomplish here, and that could be related to my viewpoint, and that is through outcome assessment. From my perspective as a researcher and a critical thinker, one role that I would take at this point in time is I would basically work with the current administration, take a look at the current processes that are in place from a critical thinking standpoint. Where's the outcome assessment? Where are at-risk students that need improvement? And how can we provide the resources for them to be successful? That is separate from curriculum. And critical race theory is curriculum. So if
Thank
I
you.
would be a board member, I would propose a separation of committees that are a current committee called
Thank you,
Equity
Doctor.
and Curriculum. Those are two separate issues.
Thank you, Dr.
Curriculum is
Lorenzo. Thank
content,
you. Thank you.
Equity is assessment. And I would treat those separately through critical thinking.
Attorney LeMayo.
Thank you. Well, I come from a viewpoint that's different maybe than from the two sides about an administrator. I'm always opposed to hiring more administrators regardless of the title or the function. So be it the solicitor, engineers, whatever administration you want. The student population is decreasing, but it seems like the administration population is always increasing. That's not a slight against any of the administrators. I have neighbors whose children are administrators at the various school districts in the area. I just think we need to focus on programs that will help the children. As to the equity part of it, I don't think we can deny that I call it, I don't know what the proper word is, but I call it an achievement gap. I don't think we can deny that there's an achievement gap. And we're a public school district. So as a public school district, we have to help all. So if you see that there's a gap or a problem, we should focus on it and try to come up with a solution. Maybe our remedies might be different, and I think that's where we're having the arguments. My remedy would be to have smaller class sizes and more teachers, or more tutors. That would help students that maybe can't find the structure in a classroom or at home. They can find it with the tutor.
Thank you. Dr. Singh.
So first, to address the issue of equity director, I think we should see the line which is coming to us. And Pittsburgh School District already has an equity director. And it is, given, and it's not being questioned. It's established fact. And it's going to permeate into other institutions. And equity director is something we will have in future. And it's coming, and we should learn that it's part of us. As far as the critical race theory is concerned, same thing. So if you look from the minority point of view, first of all, critical race theory is not being taught in school. It's not in the curriculum. And I really don't know why there is so much talk about it. It's taught in college level and in elective courses. And if you choose a course to study, somebody was telling me that their daughter was in this class, and it was an elective class. She chose that class, and so same way. So all I'm saying is that critical race theory, I think in our school system up to K through 12 is not there yet.
Thank you. And Mr. Williams?
I'd have to concur with the fellow colleagues up here. As being on the board right now, I can assure you that critical race theory was never discussed on the school board nor being part of the curriculum at Gateway. And we passed a resolution stating that. As for the equity director, currently have an equity director at Gateway, and I feel that money would be very well spent, as I said before, with hiring more teachers, tutors, aides, to impact the kids directly, to work with the kids and bring them back up to speed, maintain 5 days a week in school, and get the kids the education that they need firsthand on a hands-on basis right now. As equity director, we had one in place a number of years ago, a part-time one. We currently have one of the assistant superintendents as an equity director, and we've been addressing the achievement gap for a number of years. We actually formed a achievement gap committee a number of years ago. And I think if the public could see what we're doing currently, they would be very pleased.
Thank you, sir. Question number 6. The Gateway School Board approved a $40 million middle school reconstruction project, a 3% teacher salary increase, and a 3.6% school tax increase. Meanwhile, COVID affected lost class attendance of 3,200 students, and the community economy lost business revenue and employment. What are your ideas for reducing the spending while meeting the educational needs of the students? Attorney LeMayo?
Thank you. Well, one of my skill sets is finance. That's what I deal with in my private practice and something I sort of have an affinity for. I didn't like the fact that the district had raised our taxes, and I had said that publicly in the spring at another forum, because as everyone knows, real estate market, the values had appreciated a lot, tremendously. And school taxes are based on the value of real estate. So we have a lot of revenue. If it hasn't come in for this budget, it's going to come in the next 2 years. So I would have rather the district waited to see what revenues were coming in with the increased assessments before increasing our taxes. It seems like taxes go up, but taxes never go down. There's no reason for Gateway to raise taxes in the next 4 years. It just the numbers don't add up for us to raise taxes. And as to the budget itself, there's always a capital budget and an operating budget. I just think you have to be mindful of where the money's going, who's submitting the invoices, and what are they submitting the invoices for. And those are the things I think that the administration and the board can work together on to control those expenses. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Singh?
So there are a couple of issues here, and I would say the teacher salary raise is a sacrosanct. It has been approved after a long process of negotiation with teachers union and with the administration. And finally, they agreed on something at the last moment. It was at the brink. And I'm glad that they accomplished that, and they gone over one hurdle. So I would say that that part is well done. The raising taxes is always unpleasant, but sometimes it's a reality. And I'm sure, I'm pretty optimistic with this increase. They won't go for another increase in next couple of years. As far as the new building is concerned, that has been also simmering for quite some time. And one of the junior high is closed, and the other one, so they are being integrated. And it has been simmering for quite some time, as I said before. So these are again hard choices, and I think they have made the wise steps in this direction. Thank you.
And Mr. Williams.
This is the hard part of being a school board member is the taxes. Nobody wants to raise taxes, but costs go up every year, you know, for lighting and heating and as a colleague of mine said before, we don't make a hamburger that we could add 10 cents onto. So our goal is to raise taxes. That's our job. Even though we don't like to, we don't want to, sometimes we have to. As for the construction, the sad part is we passed a $40 million construction, and we didn't get one phone call, one email, and nobody showed up at the audience saying, "Are you crazy?" And we passed it, but it's been in the process for a number of years, and we finally were able to do it, and thank God we did, because if we would wait more, it would cost more. As for the equity director too, nobody came to us and said we need an equity director. Nobody emailed us or called us. It was just something that came up. And again, you know, the school board addressed that. But raising taxes and the teacher's contract, we had a mediator involved in that. And I think it was a win-win the whole way around. Everybody starts out high and low, and we ended up where we wanted to, I think.
Thank you. And Dr. DiLorenzo.
My couple comments related to finances. Number one, I concur with Attorney LeMayo on his comment on future revenue opportunities. We really have an opportunity here in the Monroeville Pitcairn area that we can have some future revenue streams that'll give us some opportunities to really take a look at our budget. Related to the physical stability that we're looking for, I do have a background on the financial side also, but hopefully I can be an asset for the board. I do have a background on my industry side, being responsible for various department budgets in areas that I've been responsible. And at one particular time, I was responsible for a $13 million annual operational budget. Now, I know that's not as large as the $75 million budget of the Gateway School District, but that gives you a sense of relativity that I do have a background in financial administration. One of the areas that I would look into, and we've talked about all these issues, so I'll make it quickly. We have the 3.6% tax increase, the $40 million bond, the recent teacher's contract. Those are all areas behind us. What I would like to be in a position with work with this board from a physical stability standpoint, to have financial solvency so that we continue to be a growing, wonderful school district for our students, that we have revenue streams that overcompensate our expenses. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll start with Dr. Singh. Seventh question. Parents and taxpayers in our community express major concerns that relate to the school board's lack of transparency with the public, such as not sharing or discussing curriculum committee reports at school board meetings. What would you, as a school board director, propose to remedy this concern?
The way I have seen, I mean, school board meetings have been quite open and available to public. The individual discussions of curriculum committee, I'm not fully aware how it is done right now. And I know somebody who was former mayor, a former member of the curriculum committee, in school board member, and she was, I tell you, she was wonderful. She's as reasonable a person I've ever met. And so I think somebody with that background, so that kind of person who has a legacy of that being there, I would respect the curriculum committee. They can be, maybe it should be more directly asked what kind of openness they are asking for. And sometimes minutes, I'm in the Monroeville school, Monroeville library committee, and sometimes it's things you want to talk and in a committee and in an executive session, and may or may not be accessible to everyone, but nonetheless, they should specify what they want to see, and I think it could be accommodated.
Thank you. Mr. Williams.
I think that the administration does a great job of providing the information to the public. A person in charge of any committee on a school board usually gives updates during their board reports. But as many of the public can see, currently there's been some other hot topics that the board had to address and dismiss meetings early or not even hold a meeting. I think it's a great time to take the politics out of the school board and let the school board, the new school board coming in and the current school board members that will be over, to get back to their school board duties to run the school as they know the school should be run. It's not rocket science. You hire a superintendent, tell him or her how you want your school to be run, and let them run the school. They're the ones with the years of experience. We're there to represent the public and to address any concerns they have. And I think it's time that the school board gets back to what it needs to be.
15 seconds.
Thank you. Dr. DiLorenzo.
Yeah, the transparency question, I believe I answered previously with some other questions, but I'll follow up with it with a little more detail. From my perspective, from a collaboration standpoint, my perspective is there's a variety of areas of transparency can be shared, but one is that you can have true collaboration with key stakeholders through our board committee. Currently, we have many board committees on the strategic direction of the district. Some examples are the budget committee, the athletic, building policy. I mentioned earlier the equity and curriculum. One of my interests that would like to be involved in and hopefully leading with this board is let's create a true collaborative committee model where each board committee has more community representation in addition to teachers, administrators, and parents to identify those resource needs and recommendations for continued improvement for our students, and have that board committee work in a civil and professional way, reporting back to the board so these boards, committees have community involvement that parents, I believe, and the community has been asking for in the last few school board meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. And Attorney LeMayo.
Thank you, Mayor. I think the more open government is, the better. So if a committee is not being as open as it should be, then we should change it. We should all, as school board members, understand and agree that we're here to provide information to the public, because as I said before, the parents can't come here every day. They can't be involved as deeply as we, as a school board member, would be. So they trust us. The only way they're going to trust us is if we provide them the information. We had that same issue when I was mayor here at Monroeville. Again, we didn't have, it's 15 years ago, so my memory might be a little fuzzy, but I don't think we had the budget and the agenda on the internet. And thank goodness for the TV 15 people. They helped me a lot trying to figure out how to get these documents on our website so people could review them prior to the meeting. So that's very important too. And and most of the times when you don't get the documents, it's not nefarious. It's government, so it's not there. But if you already have a level of distrust, that just increases it. So the more open we can be, except for employee issues and legal issues, everything else should be open.
Thank you. And the final question. A required duty of a school board director is to adopt courses of study in consultation with the superintendent. Many of the U.S. Department of Education programs, such as Common Core and No Child Left Behind, are producing students deficient in their understanding of traditional math, English, civics, geography, and American history. What policy should the board consider to cure these deficiencies and improve Gateway's overall academic performance? And we will start with Director Williams.
I think that Gateway's curriculum currently is a great curriculum compared to the other schools around us. And I feel that some constituents and parents don't feel that way. If they would look and see our curriculum, and I've said this before because we put out new curriculum and we have a book where people can sign up and say they looked at it, et cetera, and we do not get the input from the public to come and address these concerns. If it's a hot topic, they come in. If it's a football coach, they come in. But when it comes down to hiring teachers or superintendents or the curriculum, we don't hear from anybody. And I think that what the school board needs, whether it's this school board or the new school board coming on, is the input from the community to guide us, to let us know exactly what the children need to be taught here at Gateway. We rely on the administration and their expertise, but we do need more parent input. Currently, we don't have that. We do need more parent input with curriculum.
Thank you. And Dr. DiLorenzo.
My initial comment on this particular statement, you brought up a legislative document or an act called No Child Left Behind. Just want to share with the audience to make sure that that particular act does penalize school districts who receive federal funding if you do not have trend analysis moving upward for student performance. The only reason I share that is student performance does have a relationship to content knowledge. So what we need to be aware of as a school district through our curriculum is to make sure not only do we make sure we meet standards and legal ramifications, but we have content that I believe provides skill sets for your jobs, for your opportunities for the next phase of your life. Mentioned that earlier, and a group of us on this panel, in this forum tonight, have talked about skill sets. A variety of us has talked about STEM, critical learning skills, reading skills. There's a variety of skills that lends itself to the next generation having the skills to be productive in society. My comment related to your question is balance that with your legal responsibility and accountabilities through trend analysis so that your outcome assessment activities not only have value from a legal standpoint, but they have value from a school district standpoint so that the students are learning skills. And from those skills, they can be marketable, they can move into society, they can be successful citizens within our community, and we can all grow from that from our taxpayer dollars.
Thank you. Your time is up. And Dr. Singh.
How about me?
Oh, I'm sorry. I checked you off so soon. I apologize. Attorney LeMayo.
That's all right. Well, I'm glad you called on me because that's the second reason I ran for school board is I agree that the skills that and this is nationwide, it's not Gateway. The skills that we're learning in the schools, public school system, private school system, parochial school system, we're not concentrating on the basics. I picked reading. I could have picked math. I could have picked something else. I picked reading because if you know how to read, and if you love reading, and you become a critical thinker, you can perform in any job you have as you get older. And if we can develop a habit of reading in these children, they're going to be readers their whole life. I have good friends, intelligent friends, who don't read. I read every single day, not my law office reading. If I'm exhausted, I read one page, I read one page. So I've talked to a couple Gateway school teachers. They have a lot of great ideas. I have the strategy, but they have to do the tactics. So I need the school teachers to buy in, and I need the parents to buy in. And I think that will help the district, and maybe we can set the model for other districts. So if we can, that's what I would want to talk to the superintendent and the other board members about is coming up with a true reading program. Thank you.
Thank you. And Dr. Singh.
I think when it comes to what to teach and in terms of what is provided by the administration, national and state, and then our school, I think there is a large contribution to be made by the teachers. And sometimes we should get away from top down, and teachers are the one who are facing the students, and they are teaching them, and they are the most responsibility. So we can learn a lot from them, and so this way I think with their assessment, with their help, we can design something optimal for the students. I think that will be my approach to this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes our 8 questions for the candidates. Now, each candidate will have 1 minute to make a closing statement. And we will start with Dr. Lorenzo.
Thank you, Mr. Slahay. I wanted to, I'm sorry, Mr. Slagle, I'm sorry about that. I just wanted to thank everyone for allowing me to attend this session tonight via Zoom. I appreciate it. My closing statement is I am one of 6 candidates looking on the ballot for 4 openings. And I would like to be one of those 4 candidates that become one of those openings that lead our district into the next phase. You've heard my comments throughout tonight. If you would like to learn more about me, check out my website, DiLorenzoschoolboard.com. There's a video out there and some content to learn more about me. I believe you got a good understanding of what I'm looking forward to provide for our environment. As an administrator, educator, and public servant, I'm looking to bring professionalism and civility to our school board, and I hope you agree with that. I look forward to helping this school board with the decisions to help all students that are rooted in fundamental beliefs of God, country, and family. And I hope if you agree that you would vote for me as a school board candidate in the November election. Thank you. And sorry about that, Mr. Slagle.
Okay. Attorney LeMayo.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I want to thank everyone involved in this forum and the people that are watching this evening and that will watch in the next couple of weeks. Thank you for paying attention and trying to move Gateway forward. I did run because I thought I had the skill set and I thought I could provide the compass to get the school board and the school district moving forward. I believe I've shown through my career as an attorney locally in Monroeville. I've been here 35 years as an attorney. Retail law, you deal with the public every single day. It's not a large law firm. and also as mayor on the planning commission, that I can get groups together to come to a consensus without emotions, without name calling. I mean, I was sort of embarrassed that the district had to pass a resolution saying, or they thought they were going to, saying about how to behave on social media. Well, we're adults. I mean, we should know that already. So we need to hold our friends and supporters to the fire just like we hold our opponents. And I think we can do that, and I think I can do that effectively. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Singh.
So thank you, Mayor, and thanks everybody who organized this meeting, and it has been actually learning for me. And so I would like to bring two experiences I had when we were campaigning for the primary. And I knocked on 1/3 of the doors in Monroeville. And two questions kind of stick to my mind. One question asked was that, are you going to keep the school open? And this was May, April, and things were still closed. And thanks to everything that school is open, and I appreciate the school district, all the adversities they have come across and gone beyond. So the school is open, and my commitment to the lady who asked me that was that I will do everything to keep the school open. It's important to me. And then the second question was, somebody asked me, a black gentleman asked me, senior black gentleman asked me that, are you going to hire a black teacher? And that comes to the issue of equity. And I think we should strive to include minorities as much as we can. They start from a disadvantage. By the way, my daughter is an attorney and UC Berkeley graduate. So they start from an advantage, and she's very concerned about these minority issues. And she told me that, look here, at 2-year age, a black child already has an accent. So they start from definite disadvantage, and if we can bring in on the fold, I think it will be a great service, and we owe it to them. Thank you.
Thank you. And Director Williams, please.
Well, thank you, Mayor, for hosting us tonight. Also, thank the colleagues on the board here with me. I think each and every one of them, their heart's in the right place. I think each and every one do a good job on the school board if elected. All I can say is I've had 20 years experience as a school board member here in Gateway. People know me that, my heart beats black and gold, and I'm here for the kids, and I don't have an agenda, and I would gladly continue working on the school board with any one of these individuals here, and I think it's a step in the right direction. And I hope everybody just knows that Gateway still is a great school district. We have a great curriculum. We have a diverse group of kids here. It was diverse when I went to school. We had U.S. Steel Research Center here. We had Westinghouse World Headquarters here. We had people from all over the world, engineers from Russia, Asia, Japan, Pakistan, Brazil, everywhere. And all the kids get along great. And it's the real world when people move here to bring their kids here because they want their kids to be educated in what they believe the real world is. And I think the biggest point that I can make is, yes, we have a $75 million budget at Gateway. And if somebody on that board controls 5 votes, they can spend that money any way they want. If they want the baseball field to look like PNC Park, they can. And the parents can come to the auditorium and say, we need more books, we need more computers, and if that person has 5 votes, here's PNC Park here at Gateway. The best thing about us is we have a healthy fund budget right now. unlike a number of schools around us, we are still looked upon as the premier school. And going to Gateway, when you come out of there, you have a little chip on your shoulder. Not that you're better than everybody else, but you have a little bit more pride. And I think,
Mr. Williams, your time is up.
okay.
Thank you. And that will conclude the candidate forum. And I want to thank everyone on behalf of the concerned parents and taxpayers of Pitcairn and Monroeville. And remember, as parents, taxpayers, citizens, it is your duty to vote on Election Day, Tuesday, November 2nd. Thank you, gentlemen.
Have a good night.
Thank you.